the big one, which I think most of us would have heard, is why. What's the why for that goal? And I think this is the time, it's taking that time to actually think about our goals. I know for me, I used to just probably write a goal down and, didn't really think about it, but it's like understanding why. And if you're not sure, it's like writing the goal down and then going, what's the purpose of that goal? And even just keeping on asking that question to make sure that goal is actually yours. The other thing I would say is I think we put so much on our pressure on ourselves to figure it all out in January. Now, for me, January is actually a tough month emotionally. It's the anniversary of losing my sister. And it's not a fun time of the year. And to me, we
Yeah.
put so much pressure on having to know exactly what our goal or what our vision looks like. And the thing is, it's trial and error and allowing it to change over time. I think we can set a goal and, for example, at one stage, I wanted to run a half marathon. Now, me running a half marathon at the time was probably because I loved running because I was running to escape the emotions that I hadn't dealt with.
Yeah,
So
wow.
I was running because that was the one time that I didn't think because I was just running. So
Yeah, wow.
I think it's really also sitting down and go like having that reflection of, is this really my goal? And or is this goal that I'm putting in place because I'm avoiding something? Am I just keeping myself busy with all the goals?
Yeah, wow.
I think I'll confess that so many times I've written down a whole heap of goals and there's no way I could have achieved half of them. And it's funny, even goals that I set probably 5.5 years ago when I started my being coached myself,
Yeah.
some of them I'm still working on. And
It's okay.
that's okay because and this is the thing,
Mm.
I think we do it in our businesses, we do it in our lives. We go to trying to set up everything to perfection.
Mm,
But it's really an evolution as we go, and we can. And I've always I've always ended up in continuous improvement roles.
yes.
So for me, it's like, how do we continuously improve ourselves rather than going on January 1st? We have to have our goals written down. We have to know exactly what we want in life, and just giving ourselves I don't know, room to actually just play and go, is this goal something I want? And, if you're
Mm.
writing a goal down and it doesn't light you up, is it really something that you want in your life? And being okay that those goals may change over time.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned the idea of continuous improvement because it is really that, like, we write down a goal and it's like, well, I should achieve that tomorrow. And it is we think that something's going to explode in our business. We're going to go viral. Like everyone's going to discover us. Like it's like we always expect the transformation to just happen overnight. And that
Mhm.
once we've written down that goal, yeah, the world will just align and it will happen.
Yeah.
But that can be really overwhelming. Like if you're somebody that's like, I want to make $1 million, it's like, cool. But like looking at that post-it note that says $1 million, it can actually be super overwhelming because like, well, how the
Mm.
fuck am I going to do that? You know?
Yeah.
So I love the idea of how can you actually break it down
Mm.
and just keep getting a little closer or a little better every day or doing a little tiny thing in towards that goal. And then, like you said, playing with it and just seeing if there's something else that comes up along the way.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. It's like, there's so, like, my analogy is what, and because I love hiking. So it's the top of the mountain. And look, there is a mountain. It's one of the highest in Southeast Queensland that I've climbed numerous times. And every time I look at it, I think, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
Like like you say, it looks so overwhelming looking at the top of that mountain. And it's just actually about taking one step at a time. And the thing is, especially the first time you climb that mountain, you don't know what every single step looks like. And, we've even been with a guide that has actually taken us down a wrong path and we've had to backtrack.
Wow. Yep.
And this is the thing, and every time is different. So it's like, how do we break it down to feel less overwhelming? And this is actually something I saw and got frustrated by a lot in corporate. And I see people do it. And I know I've done it myself. It's like, oh, I want to do all these things in my life, so I'm going to do them today. And
Yeah.
then I get overwhelmed and I sit there and I do nothing. Or
Yes.
I try to map out what that
That's
next 12
me.
months, or I try to map out what the next 12 months looks like. And then I going, oh, that's so overwhelming because I don't know.
Yeah.
And in corporate, I saw it being that, there was a lot of talk about innovation, AI, all of that kind of thing. And it was like, oh, we wanted all of these systems in place straight away. Or, there was this solution that we wanted to put in place. And then we wanted to go from here to here in an instance.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like, well, you don't have the basics. And like the business I was in, it was like, we don't have fundamental things like a standard process. So you can't necessarily then go and automate something because we don't even have a standard process that we know how do we actually do this job. So,
Yeah.
and this is the thing, it's like, where are you at? And actually just taking those first little steps towards that rather than going, okay, I have to work out. Yeah, and we might know some of the big ticket items, might know a few things, but it's like, how can we, break it down a little bit so that we don't actually end up in procrastination because we're just overwhelmed.
I love that. It is just the best advice to think about things in bite-sized pieces. It's just, yeah, it makes such a huge difference. Like you think about all of the things that we have to do when we put that big goal in front of ourselves, sometimes it's just it just seems so out of reach.
Mhm.
But so I love that approach. How,
The other one, sorry,
no,
the other
go.
one I'll share is, and this is a realization for myself this year that a coach I was working with helped me to realize, was the impossible deadlines we put on ourselves.
Oh my God. Yes. I
And
know
that's the
I
thing,
do
like,
that because I've got a whole list in front of me of things that haven't been done.
yeah, and we put those impossible deadlines on ourselves. And I was like, but who is? And I can remember I did a post after having this realization for myself. It's like, if we died tomorrow, nobody would care. Like that to-do list would not be important to us.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, and this is where I'm very much, because of, I've gone through significant life loss in my family. I've lost my dad and my sister within the last 10 years. And it's
Mhm.
like, that has really showed me the importance to get out there and live. And this is why I do love adventure. I do love travel, because it's like so many of us are stuck in all these never ending to-do lists that we don't actually get out and live and do what we want to be doing.